My daughter's knee crushed into my chest as I gasped for air on my own living room floor. Emily's face twisted with rage I'd never seen before, her fingers digging into my shoulders to keep me down. Above us, Kyle stood with his phone pointed at my face, laughing like this was some kind of joke. The carpet burned against my back. I tried to speak, but the weight made every breath a struggle. "Sign the papers, Dad," Emily hissed through clenched teeth. "Just sign them and this stops." But I couldn't sign away my house. Not the house where her mother died. Not the house I'd worked 2 jobs to keep. Kyle zoomed in closer with his camera. "This'll show everyone who's really in control here," he said, his voice dripping with satisfaction. My heart pounded so hard I thought it might burst. This wasn't my daughter anymore. This was a stranger wearing Emily's face, and I realized with cold terror that they'd planned this moment carefully. When Emily finally stood up, my ribs ached like someone had beaten them with a hammer. I lay there for a moment, staring at the ceiling fan that had been spinning in that same spot for 30 years. My hands trembled as I pushed myself up slowly, feeling every one of my 72 years in my bones. Emily stood by the window now, arms crossed, while Kyle rewound the video on his phone with a smirk. "You should see yourself," he said. "You look pathetic down there, old man." I wanted to scream at them both, to throw them out of my house and change the locks. But something stopped me. Maybe it was the shock still buzzing through my system. Maybe it was the tiny hope that my daughter would snap out of whatever madness had taken hold of her. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I felt that weight on my chest again, heard that terrible laughter echoing in my ears. The next morning, Emily slid a stack of papers across my kitchen table while I poured coffee with shaking hands. My reading glasses sat on the counter, but I didn't need them to know what these documents meant. "It's a deed transfer," she said flatly, like she was discussing the weather. "You sign here, here, and here. Then this house becomes ours." I set down the coffee pot carefully, buying time to think. "Emily, this is my home. Your mother and I bought this place when you were just a baby." Her jaw tightened. "Mom's dead, Dad. And you're too old to manage a house this size anymore." Kyle leaned against the doorframe, still playing with his phone. "We already have proof you're not capable," he added. "Proof?" My voice came out weaker than I wanted. Emily's smile was cold. "That video from yesterday. Plus a lot more we've been collecting. So either you sign willingly, or we'll make you sign." Within days, my phone disappeared from my nightstand. When I asked Emily about it, she said I'd misplaced it again, that she was keeping it safe for me. Suddenly, I couldn't call anyone. My sister stopped by once, confused, saying she'd been trying to reach me for weeks. Emily told her I needed rest, that visitors tired me out too much. My sister left looking uncertain. The neighbors who used to wave from their porches now walked past quickly, eyes down. I later learned Emily had been telling everyone I was declining rapidly, that I got confused and said inappropriate things. She was building a cage around me, invisible but strong as steel. At dinner each night, Kyle and Emily whispered to each other while I sat at the head of the table in silence. My own dining room felt like enemy territory. Without my phone, without my connections, I was becoming a ghost in my own life. A week after the incident, I bent down to pick up a glass I'd knocked off the counter. My back seized up immediately, pain shooting through my spine like lightning. I grabbed the counter edge, breathing hard through my teeth. The bruises from being pinned to the floor had turned deep purple across my ribs and shoulders. Emily appeared in the kitchen doorway, arms crossed. She watched me struggle for a moment before laughing. "See, Dad? You can't even bend over without hurting yourself anymore." Kyle walked up behind her, phone ready as always. "The court's gonna love seeing how fragile you are," he said. "Makes our case even stronger." I understood then what they were doing. This wasn't just cruelty. They were collecting evidence, staging a narrative where I was too weak and confused to manage my own affairs. But evidence works both ways. If they could collect proof, so could I. I just had to be smarter about it. I started playing their game, but by my own rules. I limped more than necessary when they were watching. I pretended to forget where I'd put things, asking the same questions twice. Emily's eyes lit up each time I seemed confused. "Did you take your pills this morning, Dad?" she'd ask loudly, even though we both knew I had. I let her believe her plan was working perfectly. Meanwhile, I started collecting my own evidence. Every utility bill that came to the house with my name on it went into a folder I hid behind my dresser. Every prescription refill receipt got tucked away. My bank statements, proof of my mortgage payments, everything that showed I was still mentally sharp and financially responsible. They were building their case, but I was building mine too. The difference was they didn't know I was fighting back yet. Sometimes the best weapon is the one your enemy doesn't see coming. 2 weeks into my captivity, Kyle got careless. We were eating dinner when he started bragging about house prices in the neighborhood. "Once this place is in our names," he said, cutting into his steak, "we can flip it for maybe 400,000. Market's hot right now." Emily kicked him under the table. I heard the thump clearly. "Kyle, shut up," she hissed. But it was too late. I understood everything now. They didn't want my house to live in it or take care of me here. They wanted to sell it fast and pocket the cash. My house. The place where I'd raised Emily after her mother died. The place where I'd worked double shifts as a school custodian just to keep the mortgage paid. They were going to erase 30 years of my life for a quick payday. My hands tightened around my fork, but I kept my face blank and confused. Better to let them think I hadn't understood. Better to let them keep talking while I kept listening. On a Tuesday morning, I woke up before dawn and slipped out of the house while Emily and Kyle were still asleep. My back protested every step, but I made it to the corner store 6 blocks away. Terry, who'd run that store for 20 years, took one look at me and his smile faded. "Spencer, what happened to you?" His eyes caught on the bruises still visible on my arms. I couldn't hold it in anymore. Standing there by the coffee machine, I whispered what was happening. Terry's face darkened with anger. "Those bastards," he muttered. Then he did something that changed everything. He reached under the counter and pulled out an old flip phone. "Take this," he said, sliding it across to me like we were in some spy movie. "It's a burner. Paid up for 3 months. Keep it hidden." I slipped the phone into my jacket pocket, feeling its weight like a lifeline. For the first time in weeks, I had a way to reach the outside world. That night, Terry came by the house pretending to drop off a package. While Emily signed for it at the door, Terry showed me how to use the burner phone's voice recorder. "Just hit this button," he whispered while Emily's back was turned. "It'll record everything." From that day forward, I kept the phone in my shirt pocket whenever Emily and Kyle talked about their plans. I caught Kyle saying, "Once we get him declared incompetent, the house transfer is automatic." I caught Emily arguing, "But what if someone challenges it?" And Kyle's response, "Who's going to challenge it? His sister? She lives 3 states away. By the time anyone figures it out, the house will be sold and we'll be in Florida." Each recording was another nail in their coffin. But I needed something bigger. I needed one undeniable piece of evidence that would destroy their entire scheme in a single blow. I just had to be patient and wait for the right moment. Emily drove me to a doctor's appointment on a Thursday afternoon. Before we left, she pulled me aside and said in a low voice, "You need to look really out of it today, Dad. Act confused." At the clinic, she whispered to the nurse at check-in, "He's been forgetting things a lot lately. We're very worried about him." The nurse gave me a sympathetic look that made my stomach turn. During the exam, I clicked on my recorder. The doctor asked me basic questions, and I answered them all correctly. Emily interrupted several times. "Dad, you're not remembering right. Yesterday you forgot where the bathroom was." That was a complete lie. On the drive home, Emily's mask slipped completely. "The more incompetent you look to doctors," she said, "the faster we can get this done. So keep acting confused, or we'll make your life hell." I had the whole conversation recorded. That single audio file could destroy her case completely. But I stayed silent, staring out the window like a defeated old man. That evening, Kyle called me into the living room where he and Emily were watching TV. He had his laptop open, and with a cruel smile, he turned it toward me. There I was on the screen, pinned to the floor, gasping for breath while Emily held me down. Kyle had edited the video, adding slow motion effects and zooming in on my face. "You look pathetic, Spencer," Kyle said, laughing. "Who'd believe someone this weak actually owns a house? Look at you, helpless as a baby." Emily giggled beside him, the sound cutting through me like a knife. My daughter, the girl I'd raised alone, worked myself to exhaustion for, was laughing at my humiliation. My throat tightened with rage and heartbreak, but inside, something cold and hard was forming. This video, the one they thought made me look weak, was actually the key to everything. They'd just handed me the proof of their abuse. I just had to get my hands on a copy. The next few days, I started leaving things around the house. Old photos of Emily as a little girl, sitting on my shoulders at the park. Her crayon drawings from elementary school that I'd kept in a box. Letters her mother had written before she died, talking about how proud she was of Emily. I'd placed them where Emily would see them. On the kitchen counter. On her nightstand. In the bathroom. I watched her face when she found them. For just a moment, her expression would soften. Her eyes would get distant, like she was remembering who she used to be. But then Kyle would appear, put his hand on her shoulder, and steer her away from the memories. He'd whisper something I couldn't hear, and her face would harden again. She was still in there somewhere, my real daughter. But Kyle had his hooks in deep. He wasn't just recording this nightmare. He was directing it. Late one night, after Emily and Kyle had gone to bed, I used Terry's burner phone to call a lawyer. Terry had written the number on a scrap of paper, his cousin who specialized in elder law. I sat in my closet with a blanket over my head to muffle my voice. I told the lawyer everything. The assault, the video, the recordings I'd made, the deed transfer they were trying to force. The lawyer listened without interrupting. When I finished, there was a long pause. "Mr. Spencer," he finally said, "do not sign anything they put in front of you. Keep collecting evidence. What you're describing isn't just elder neglect. This is fraud, coercion, and abuse." For the first time in weeks, someone believed me. Someone understood that I wasn't crazy or confused. "Can you help me?" I asked, my voice cracking. "I can," he said, "but I'll need that video. Without it, it's your word against theirs. Can you get me a copy?" I looked at my shaking hands in the darkness. Getting that video meant taking Kyle's phone. "I'll find a way," I promised. I started staging moments of confusion to make them comfortable. At breakfast, I'd stare at Emily for a long moment, then say, "Have you seen my daughter? She should be here soon." Emily's eyes would light up. "Dad, I am your daughter." I'd look bewildered, shaking my head. No. Emily's much younger. She's still in school." Kyle would grab his phone and start recording immediately. "This is perfect," he'd whisper to Emily. "Keep him talking like this." I'd mumble about needing to pick up Emily from soccer practice, events from 20 years ago like they were happening today. Kyle recorded every confused word. Later, when they thought I was napping, I heard them celebrating. "The judge is going to take one look at these videos and declare him incompetent immediately," Kyle said. My recorder caught every word of their celebration. The more they thought I was losing my mind, the stronger my real case became. They were so focused on my performance that they never suspected I was performing. A week later, the lawyer came to visit, pretending to be an old friend from my custodian days. Emily opened the door looking suspicious, but I played it up. "Oh, Marcus. Come in. Haven't seen you in years." I ushered him to the front porch where Emily couldn't hear us clearly. He kept his voice low. "Do you have the recordings?" I pulled out the burner phone and played him 3 of the clearest ones. His jaw tightened as he listened to Emily and Kyle discussing their plans. "This is solid evidence," he said. "But we still need that video. It's the smoking gun. Without it, they could claim the recordings are taken out of context." I knew he was right. The video showed clear abuse. Combined with the audio, it would bury them. "Kyle keeps his phone on him constantly," I said. "Except when he showers." The lawyer leaned in close. "Then that's your window. Can you do it?" I thought about my daughter's knee on my chest, about Kyle's laughter. "Yes," I said. "I can do it." 2 days later, my chance came. Kyle went for his evening shower, and I heard the water running through the pipes. His phone sat on the nightstand in their bedroom, charging. My heart hammered as I walked past Emily, who was watching TV in the living room. I moved slowly, like I was heading to my own bedroom, then slipped into theirs. The phone screen was locked, but Kyle was an idiot. His password was Emily's birthday, something I'd seen him type a dozen times. My hands shook so badly, I almost dropped the phone twice. I found the video in his gallery and sent it to Terry's burner phone via text. The upload bar crawled across the screen, painfully slow. I could hear the shower still running, but what if he finished early? Finally, it completed. I deleted the sent message from Kyle's phone, put it back exactly where it had been, and slipped out. Back in my room, I sat on my bed, breathing hard. I'd done it. The weapon they'd created to destroy me was now mine. That night, I watched the video on Terry's burner phone with the volume turned down low. Seeing myself pinned to the floor made my stomach turn. I looked so helpless, so defeated. Emily's face above me was twisted with rage, and Kyle's laughter echoed through the speakers. but I forced myself to watch it 3 times, studying every detail. This video, combined with my audio recordings, painted a complete picture, not of an incompetent old man who needed a guardian, but of a vulnerable elder being abused by his own family for financial gain. My lawyer had texted me earlier, "Got the video. This changes everything. Now we wait for them to make their next move. Let them dig deeper." I deleted the text immediately, then hid the phone behind a loose baseboard in my closet. For the first time since this nightmare began, I felt something close to hope. They thought they were hunting me. They didn't realize I was hunting them right back. Emily decided to have a family dinner and invited her aunt and 2 cousins, people I hadn't seen in months. She was trying to prove something. Before they arrived, Emily rehearsed with me. "Just act normal, Dad. But if you forget something, that's okay too." I knew what she was doing. She wanted witnesses to my decline. During dinner, Emily kept making loud comments. "Dad, did you remember to take your pills this morning?" I had, but I said, "Pills? What pills?" She exchanged meaningful glances with Kyle. "See? He forgets constantly now." My sister's daughter, Patricia, watched this exchange with narrowed eyes. "Uncle Spencer, how are you really doing?" she asked carefully. I had my recorder running in my pocket. "Oh, I'm fine," I said. "Just wish Emily and Kyle wouldn't keep talking about selling my house." Emily's face went red. "Dad, we've discussed this. We're trying to help you." The tension at the table grew thick. Patricia didn't look convinced, and I caught her studying the bruises still faint on my arms. Seeds of doubt were spreading. Soon, I'd water them with truth. The next week, Emily and Kyle drove me to my bank, clearly planning something. In the car, Kyle was coaching Emily. "Just let me do the talking. The manager knows me." At the bank, they tried to steer me toward a desk where a banker waited with papers spread out. I recognized what this was, an attempt to add their names to my accounts, or maybe set up a power of attorney. But I called ahead using Terry's phone. When we sat down, the banker looked uncomfortable. "Mr. Spencer, I need to verify that you're here of your own free will and understand what these documents mean." Emily jumped in. "He gets confused sometimes, but I can speak for myself." I interrupted, my voice stronger than it had been in weeks. Under the desk, I slipped the banker a note I'd prepared. "Call my lawyer. Number on back. This is fraud." The banker glanced at the note, then at me. Our eyes met. "I'm sorry," he said to Emily and Kyle, "but I need to have a private conversation with Mr. Spencer first." Bank policy. Emily's face went pale. That night, Emily and Kyle had their worst fight yet. I stood in the hallway outside their bedroom, recorder running. "This is taking too long," Kyle shouted. "Your dad's stubborn, and now the bank's suspicious." Emily's voice cracked. "What do you want me to do?" "He's still my father, Kyle. Your father is a meal ticket, and if he won't sign over the house willingly, we'll get a court to declare him incompetent. We've got enough evidence, the videos, the doctor visits, everything. But what if someone challenges it? What if Patricia or someone, by the time anyone figures it out, will have sold the house and be gone? Do you want to keep struggling, or do you want the life I promised you?" There was silence, then Emily's quiet voice. "He used to carry me on his shoulders when I was little. He worked 2 jobs just to keep me clothed. And now it's his turn to pay you back," Kyle said coldly. I stood in the dark hallway, the recorder capturing every word, my heart breaking and hardening at the same time. My lawyer moved fast. Within 2 days, he'd filed an emergency injunction to freeze any property transfers involving my house. He also filed elder abuse charges with the county, attaching all my audio recordings and the video. A court date was set for the following week. I kept my head down, playing the fragile old man while Emily and Kyle's arguments grew more desperate. They knew something had shifted but couldn't figure out what. "Why is the bank being so difficult?" Emily kept asking. Kyle paced the living room like a caged animal. "Someone's interfering. Someone knows something." I sat in my chair, reading the newspaper like I had no concerns in the world. Inside, I was counting down the hours until court. They'd tried to bury me alive in my own home. Soon, they'd learn what it felt like to have the ground collapse beneath them. Justice was coming, and it wore the face of all the evidence they'd foolishly created while underestimating me. The knock on the door came on a Tuesday morning. I was in my bedroom when I heard it. 3 sharp raps that made Emily freeze in the kitchen. Through my door, I watched her answer. 2 police officers stood on the porch, their faces professional and cold. "Emily Thornton?" one asked. "Yes." Her voice was small. You're under arrest for elder abuse, fraud, and attempted theft. Her face drained of all color. Kyle came running from the back room. What? This is insane. He's been lying. He's senile. But when the officer pulled out a tablet and played one of my audio recordings, Emily's voice clearly saying, "The more incompetent you look, the faster we get this done." Kyle's protests died in his throat. Emily started crying. No, you don't understand. I didn't mean. The handcuffs clicked shut around her wrists and then around Kyle's. As they were let out, Emily looked back at me standing in my bedroom doorway. For a moment, our eyes met. I saw my little girl in there somewhere, trapped and terrified. But I also saw the woman who'd pinned me to the floor. The courtroom was small and cold, with fluorescent lights that made everyone look gray. I sat behind my lawyer while the judge reviewed the evidence. When the video played on the screen, me pinned to the floor, gasping, while Emily held me down and Kyle laughed, the room went silent. The judge's face remained neutral, but I saw his jaw tighten. Then came the audio recordings. Emily's voice talking about making me look incompetent. Kyle discussing selling the house. Their whispered strategies played out for everyone to hear. Emily covered her face with her hands, sobbing. Kyle stared at the floor, his cocky attitude completely gone. The judge finally spoke, his voice cutting through the courtroom like a blade. This is elder abuse, clear and deliberate. It's also attempted fraud and coercion. He ruled that my house would remain solely in my name, that Emily and Kyle were to have no contact with me, and that criminal charges would proceed. As the bailiff led them out, Emily tried to turn back. "Dad, please," but I looked away. 3 weeks later, Emily called from jail. The phone rang 5 times before I picked up. "Dad," her voice was hollow. "Please, you have to understand. Kyle, he pushed me into it. He convinced me that we needed the money, that you'd be better off in a care home. I never wanted to hurt you." I sat in my kitchen, staring at the table where she used to do her homework while I made dinner after my late shift. "You put your knee on my chest," I said quietly. "You held me down while your husband laughed and filmed me like I was nothing. Like 30 years of raising you meant nothing. I know. God, Dad, I know. I was wrong. I was so wrong." Her voice cracked with sobs. "But I'm still your daughter. I'm still the girl you raised. Please, Dad. Please forgive me." I closed my eyes, seeing her at 7 years old, crying over a scraped knee. Then seeing her at 35, holding me down on my own floor. "You buried me once, Emily," I said. "Now you live with the shovel." And I hung up the phone. I still live in my house, the one I bought 40 years ago when Emily's mother was pregnant. Her photos smile at me from every wall, reminding me of better times. The neighbors check in regularly now. Word spread about what happened, and suddenly I'm not the declining old man Emily painted me as. I'm the survivor. Terry comes by every Thursday for coffee and cards. My sister calls twice a week. Patricia visits with her kids, and I teach them how to build birdhouses in my garage like I once taught Emily. Sometimes late at night, I hear echoes of Emily's childhood laughter bouncing off these walls. I wonder if I failed her somewhere, if I should have seen the poison Kyle was planting in her heart. But then I remember the weight on my chest, the sound of that camera recording my humiliation, and I know the truth. Some people make choices that can't be forgiven. Emily chose money over family. She chose cruelty over compassion. And now she lives with those choices while I live in peace in the home I earned, surrounded by people who actually care about me. Survival isn't just revenge. Sometimes it's simply refusing to let the people who tried to destroy you take anything else. And I refuse to give them even one more day of my life.